I think everyone heard of ChatGPT.
Yep.
Everyone thinks, who's not from our industry, thinks, oh, I need to translate a content. Okay, I'll just throw it into ChatGPT and it's going to do the job for me. It will. The question is it going to tell the truth?
Lexigo presents The Native Experience with your host, Brian.
Hello, world. This is Brian from Lexigo.com, and you are listening to the Native Experience Podcast, the show that goes beyond translation and localization and discusses creating truly native experiences for diverse audiences. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We got a lot of fun. A great show coming your way today. Today we are talking with Joseph Kubofsky, CEO of Nimdzi Insights. But before we get started, I got to ask if you're tired of spending hours transcribing audio and or even video content. If you are, and I understand, we have an option here. Check out Scribe, the effortless solution for transcription, subtitling, and translation. With Scribe, you can transcribe speech to text in record time, create on-brand subtitles instantly, and translate and create subtitles across 171 languages in just minutes. So try it out today. See what you think. Go on over to lexigo.com/scribe and see if it works for you. Tell us what you think about it, too. I'd love to hear it. All right, so let's get into this. In just 19 years in the language industry, Joseph Kubofsky has developed outstanding business acumen. After receiving a degree in international relations, Joseph worked his way up from sales manager position at a regional translation company to branch manager. He then moved to an international MLV and eventually became head of sales at a technology company where he managed a worldwide sales team of 27. Today, Joseph uses his unique blend of language, tech, and sales skills to help Nimdzi Insights help their partners, that is, pursue business excellence and growth. Joseph is always happy to share his experience and ideas, and I'm excited to talk to Joseph. He's got a wealth of experience, and we're going to have a lot of fun, too, of course, because Joseph's a great guy. So let's rock it. Joseph, welcome to the Native Experience. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it.
Hi, Brian. Very good to meet you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, I'm curious to know just a little about yourself. So tell us about yourself personally. Tell us about yourself professionally. And then you also have to share what you're currently nerding out on for fun right now, by the way, too.
So my friends know me because I can never sit at one place and start talking to everyone and disturbing people when they want to have a rest and asking silly questions or challenging them and so on. I just returned from a hiking trip that I was with, whether it was primary school, then someone from the secondary school, then I had uni fellow students.
Oh, wow.
And we just escaped from our families. It was 6 of us, and we enjoyed, a fresh air at the height of almost 3,000 meters latitude. So I'm pretty fresh now and ready for my typical life, which is being here with the family, locked at home, sitting together, and being locked in my computer, having fun with people like you at 7 p.m. of my time, because this is where most of my clients wake up, or those that I have in Japan, they start or they finish their day at 7 a.m. of my time. So that's my typical day. And I'm a father of 2. And recently their teacher asked them to go and see what their parents do. And they said, oh, we don't know. Our dad is just staring at a computer and talking to the screen all the time. So awesome. Who knows what he does? So I'm bringing my daughter to an event tomorrow. We're gonna go and see the Baltics together so that she sees how I'm speaking at 3 conferences in 2 days.
Wow.
So I'm really excited about that. So that's what I do. That's about me as from the personal level.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing. Well, it sounds fun and it sounds exciting. And also, of course, there's always challenges and, the typical life that comes with all of that. But it sounds great overall.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it.
I'm enjoying it. And then I also have an amazing team and an amazing opportunity with a research and consulting company.
Yeah.
Where our mission is really to create the knowledge, to support people and make them successful. So this is always very nice because you get a very good feedback on the type of work that you do, which is always appreciated, of course.
Any specific examples that, like you said, sharing the knowledge to help how have you done that specifically? If you can share anything, that is. I'm just kind of curious if you have an example of what's happened recently.
Okay, let me talk about today. So today I had a call this morning started with a small translation company that 2 years ago when we went there for a consulting project, we're just thinking, okay, where do we find more clients? How do we sell internationally? Because we are, we exhausted the local market and so on. And today, after those 2 years, I asked them, so what has changed since we started working together or since we were there and visited you?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, we actually totally shifted our mind. And now we're seeing a huge amount of opportunity on our local market. We totally restructured our expansion and the way that we look at business. And we are much more positive about new business opportunities. So that's
very nice.
the one option, small businesses. We also work with those who actually buy the services from them. So companies who acquire translation or localization services. And what we do for those guys is that typically they are being seen from their top management as just, oh my God, we forgot we also need to translate our product, our software, our content. And we only have 2 days and we wanted to start selling it in all those 150 markets. Can just someone get it translated? And these guys are dying to deliver and being just overseen as a typical end of the food chain type of profiles or type of departments. And if you think about it, these guys are actually responsible for making sure that the organization, when they go to the new market, will be successful.
Yeah.
And if you think about them making a major or they making a bigger mistake when a product is going to a new market, it can impact very often 90% of the revenue of an organization. You're in the US, right? So you might not have such an impact because there is a lot of potential for basically anything when you're selling it in English. But if you imagine a company that's located in my region in Europe or in Central Europe where I am, it can play a critical role for the future of the organization. And that's what I'm going too much into detail. So what I want to say is that we're helping them to convince those bosses of theirs to understand the value, the importance.
Yeah.
We're trying to explain why should they spend more budget with these guys? Why should they communicate more with them? Because they have the understanding of, okay, if we're going to create this product, it has to be prepared to be able to go to all of these markets, right?
Oh yeah.
We work with top branding companies, for example. You would be amazed how often there are some critical errors in marketing campaigns. Like into the Arabic countries, you would have ladies in their bikinis.
Oh.
What do you think is going to happen? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is something. This is extreme, of course, but then there are very small things.
Sure.
And I'm going to speak about accessibility in the conferences that I'm going to go to now. So this is very critical, and if you don't have the product prepared, you may end up in challenges, not even being able to fulfill the government requirements, right? In Europe, and you have this European Accessibility Act, which luckily they put into 6 years of implementation starting 2017. So we're very close that everyone has to follow this when they want to sell on the European market. So you really have to be ready, and you have the guys in-house. So why do you want to invest externally and go and get it somewhere else, or come to Nimdzi for a consulting project, and we'll help you with figuring it out, of course. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot that these guys in the localization teams can help, and there's a lot of involvement of theirs. So we're communicating with their bosses. We're doing a lot of change management at Nimdzi. So that was my second call. I'm taking this from too far away. Is that right? Should I shorten it?
No,
Ryan?
This is great. I appreciate this. Like I'm getting a full picture on what you're doing, and I really, in fact, I'm sitting here now starting to think about all of these potential horror stories that these companies are making. And like you said, some of them are severe and some are very minimal, but still impactful.
Yeah.
Do you have any
my,
other examples? I am curious to know, just so companies can kind of go, oh, shoot, we're doing that. We need to not do that.
Yeah. No, this is like the typical joke that within our industry people use is swear words, right?
Yeah. Oh,
so
okay.
you
Okay, yeah.
have a car brand, I think it was Bora, that came to Brazil or similar. I don't want to screw up now, but they went to a country and then the names is something like, human's butt or something like that. And who's going to buy a car with that type of brand, right? Or with that type of name? So you really need to modify, but companies learned that during the process and so on. So they're shifting the names depending on where they are exporting and stuff like that. So there is a lot of these jokes about that process. But
sure,
I think we are getting better and better in the presenting the importance of localization, especially in the world of today. You have a lot of e-commerce, structures. You also have a lot of international business that's much faster than it ever was. 20 years ago, people were hardly doing international business with software, for example, right? Or with gaming. Now, I think it's never limiting you basically to go to any market you want the next day, basically, if you think about it, right? Because you just put it online and people can access it.
Mm-hmm.
But which markets are actually going to be those that, even if you do the whole process of localization correct, but which markets of those that you're going to enter are going to give you the revenue that you're looking for?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to use the name, but one of the very good gaming companies are, if you think about it, they have a huge potential in the Asian market, right?
Yep.
But now they've investing 10 times more to localize their content into Norwegian than what they did to Indonesia. Even if they had over 100,000 downloads during the first days in Indonesia, they're still investing in Norwegian because they want to generate the revenue there from 300 downloads. Why is that? Because the people in that region are used to and they can afford to download, to actually pay for the version, use the paid version of the game. So this is also something that the localization departments need to be looking at, or that needs to be investigated. We do a lot of research on that, on that perspective, on which are the markets you should go to or should not go to.
Yeah.
What are the opportunities? We did one very exciting project on India for a toy company, right? And that is extremely interesting because you have two buyer profiles. You have the kid who needs to like and understand the toy, and then you have the adult who's the investor, if you think about it, right?
Exactly.
And you need to convince the investor that the toy is whatever, it's not going to hurt them, it's safe, it doesn't cost too much, and you have to convince both parties. So your marketing campaign has to be targeting both of them, right? And the Indian market is extremely interesting because you have so many languages, right? So which ones are worth investing into localizing and stuff like that. But again, I went too much into this.
Not at all. I really enjoyed that.
This is what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Then one of the things that, again, I'm going to speak soon is technology. So my background is language technology. I've been working in a language technology company for 10 years. And technology today, I think everyone heard of ChatGPT. Yep. Everyone who's not from our industry thinks, oh, I need to translate a content. Okay, I'll just throw it into ChatGPT and it's going to do the job for me. It will. The question is it going to tell the truth, right? It will create some translation. It will be probably correct on what it is translating, but is really the message in there? Is it not really, is it not creating a hallucination of the content that you're putting in there? And I think this is what is really interesting about our industry, that we've been using technology for over 80 years or 90 years. The first technology for machine translation, so something that from Google Translate, was there in 50s or even earlier. People were automating the translations. Then there were tools that would be predicting or suggesting you a translation content when you are doing the translation and so on. And today we have the ChatGPT tool that is creating great content, but who knows if, again, the message is in there. And just to, a very small rush through this is that there is over 1,000 technologies that are related to language services, whether we're actually talking about translation tools, machine translation tools, those that are helping you to manage the translation process, audiovisual tools. So whether you're talking about the subtitle, dubbing or subtitling, right? Whether you're talking about quality management, so a tool that's going to review your content. I'm sure that many of you heard of the QA tools that you have in your mailbox, and they will just quickly help you with making sure that the content is correct. Mm-hmm. You have Grammarly as one of the things, one of the tools that pop up. Mm-hmm. Very much language related, right? If you think about it. Then you have terminology management. How do I make sure that I'm describing a product and using the right terms, right? And I'm using the client terminology. I'm using the industry specific terminology. So there are tools that are helping us. And of course, interpreting. And then you have these recent developments of speech recognition, which is amazing, by the way, right? And we also have a lot of tools that are helping us with the artificial creation of the voice, mm-hmm. right? So we speech to text, text to speech, amazing tools that are out there, and I'm sure that this has a huge potential. The question is, how do we make sure that the people are correctly rewarded? Because you still need to have some kind of final check, right? Final approve of, is this, again, is it not a hallucination? Are they using the right terminology? Is the technology, using the right process? And are we speaking to the right audience? Yeah. And all of that needs to still be revised. Okay, speaking too much again. So no, that's great. These are the things that we do, and I find them exciting. And I'm talking basically again every day to people. Which tools should I use? Should we be looking at a new technology for our process? We're considering to create a marketing video, right? And then we say, okay, how do you want to get it? How do you want to make it in the other languages? Mm-hmm. How do you want to make sure that do you want to get it subtitled? Do you want to have a dubbing? Do you want to use artificial voices for it? And is it going to be ready for that, right? Just like we said at the beginning of the conversation. Yeah. Is the source content not going to be messy? And are we not going to run a naked? Are we not going to see run naked women in front of the Arabic countries? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so I got to tell you, I've had so many conversations with different people. I other podcasts that I've hosted, and a lot of the conversations that I've had are people in tech, some who have actually designed some of the AI technology that we're using right now. And the common thing that I hear from these people, these are, in my opinion, the experts, and of course, this is also from experiences I've had and other people have had as well, is that these types of tools that you mentioned, I love what you said. They are tools. They are there to assist us. We can use them, but they're definitely not replacements. And, they all need to be checked and everything. And it's amazing some of the technology that's out right now. It's amazing how helpful it is. It's amazing how it makes our lives easier. It makes our businesses easier. It does. But it's amazing also how much I still personally and others have to go back and edit or double check or, that didn't work. This wasn't correct. It's a great tool. It takes some of the work off our plate, but it's still not a full replacement. And so, as people are thinking, should I use these tools, or which tool should I use? Which technology should I use? As long as it makes your life easier and it actually improves your business, great. But definitely triple check it.
So you have this Gartner hype cycle, right? Where you start with the innovation trigger. Someone had the idea, people were excited about it, and you have those first people who thought like, oh, this is going to make a major impact. And then you have more and more users coming and catching up. ChatGPT that, I don't know how to express this, but more than an amazing work in throwing this stuff at people, right? And then you get to the peak of the inflated expectations. And suddenly you start realizing, oh, it's not that great as we expected, or
Yeah.
there are some, like we're talking about hallucination with the large language models and stuff like that. And then it goes down through the disillusionment, right? Somewhere where people like realize, okay, we still have to check it. It's still blah, blah, blah. But then we have the slope of enlightenment. And that is the moment where we start using, and I don't know how about you, but I use any of the tools, the large language models every day for whether it's me creating my content or, summarizing or searching for data. There's a lot of mass. You have to understand what you're searching for, and you need to make sure that you are not being confused. But it does help, right? It does help
absolutely.
us every day. But slowly it's going to grow up, and then it's going to become the plateau of productivity where we are just going to use it as an everyday tool. And then there will be a new innovation trigger because people will want more, or someone will come from the future. So the expectation is typically very high at the beginning, and then we drop to the disillusionment, and it takes time. But then after some time, after people experiencing, it just becomes a plateau.
Yeah. That's why, being an early adopter is a lot of fun, but early adopters typically understand that, hey, this is going to be the initial excitement and things aren't, it's almost like being a beta tester of something. You know that it's not going to be perfect in the beginning, but that's your expectation. I think for those who come in and have this ridiculous expectation about this is going to solve all of my problems, and, they're not early adopters, they're not beta testers, they're going to be disappointed. And so hopefully this is a good learning lesson for all of us too, to say, if you're in the beginning, you're going to have the bugs and it's going to get worked out, and then you're going to understand how it works for you and not against you too. Now, I have to ask you this question, because when you went on the explanation of what you do, what Nimdzi does and all that, I could just sense this incredible passion behind what you do. So I am curious, what drives this passion of yours? Why do you do what you do? Why does you explained what Nimdzi does, but why does Nimdzi do what you do? And all that. That's what I'm trying to understand is what's the passion behind all of this?
Thank you. That's a very nice question. So I would say many of us come from the language service industry, right? Whether we were translators, we were part of the technology development, or we are solution builders, but we love challenges. We enjoy moments where there's no obvious way to go. We love to identify new opportunities. We actually, as I was saying, as I was talking earlier about the Gartner hype cycle, this is the innovation is what we're looking for. We are looking at people who are step before that, and we love to help them to move forward. That's why we say that the mission is we create the knowledge, right? It's the thing that the particular client need to succeed. And we have a lot of experience. I would say a couple of 100 years if you put all of us together. So the main reason for us is that we're seeing those challenges that people are repeating, the mistakes that they're repeating, and we want to help them out in figuring out what else. Let them find their own mistakes and just go through what has already been experienced and move on, succeed there. Sure. And this year has been extremely stressful, I think, for everyone from any type of business because of the language models, which I think many of us knew that this is not going to change, our lives from being punished by artificial intelligence who will take over the world. But how do we implement it? How do we benefit from it? How can we on a daily basis use these tools? How do I individually use it? And how do I convert this into my organization benefit? And there's a beautiful example of SAP. I'm sure that everyone knows that company. And they actually created this internal challenge of come up with solutions that the large language models could generate for us and present it in front of the others, right? Let's play a little game here and show. And those that are going to be the best, we will test, and we will implement. There was over 500 projects, ideas, plans that were described, but only 10 of them were implemented. What do you think, Brian? What were the conditions for the selection?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
So if you would save 5% of your costs, it would be a drastic cost if it was, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Sure.
Right? So
yeah.
you would have to be a huge organization.
Okay.
If you saved 0.5%,
Mhm.
it probably wouldn't have the impact, right?
Yeah.
So one of the conditions was the saving. Then it was the time. So how much time, how much effort we're going to save as an organization, or
Mhm.
is this going to help us, to slow or shorten our workflow?
Mhm.
Are we going to have our lives easier? Is the organization going to benefit from it in a time manner, right? Are we going to be basically able to turn investment into return quicker
Yeah.
than if we didn't implement it?
Mhm.
And there were some enormously interesting ideas, but only those that made a major impact on those two options were selected.
So what was why? Why did that happen?
So again, there was a lot of stress.
Mhm.
Everyone's forced, whether you have it the push from the top
Mhm.
to the lower management and say, okay, guys, you are doing translations or you are doing software engineering. We want you to implement AI no matter what. Show us how you're going to do it, right? Because there's the opportunity. Everyone's
Yeah.
seeing it. We don't need to translate anything. If I'm using our industry, let's just get it ChatGPT and it's going to be fine. So show us how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
We want the same quality. We want to save costs. We want to implement it. Just present to us how you're going to be doing it, right?
Mhm.
And it went through many departments and people could present it. And then you also have the button up pressure where they feel that this could help their life. This could help the organization in moving forward. And they want to present it internally. They want to say, hey, this would be a great opportunity for us to implement internally. Let's do it. Let us show you how. And this was the movement, right? This was the idea of kind of see where they're standing. How can the different contributors, internal contributors in SAP support what's going on?
Yeah.
Or what are the options there to be used?
Yeah. I mean, it really does come down to it's got to improve. It's got to cut down on time. It's got to save money. It's got to make more profits. It really just comes down to that stuff. So, yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said this to me off mic, and I liked this phrase, and I want you to talk about this, that localization is the cheapest way to test a new market. So I'm curious why you said that, what your thoughts are, what your experiences are with that phrase in general.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I love to pitch this to, again, the top management when we're doing the change management and we're explaining why the localization team is important and why should they invest in doing things right and analyzing everything, include the accessibility. And the reason is simple. The reason is simple, Brian. We do translate the content, right?
Mhm.
We do not need to hire anyone in the local market. We don't need to hire salespeople. Don't need to hire a marketing agency on that particular market. And we can just translate the content. We can more localize into that particular region and see what will be the return. Will the reactions be positive, negative? How will the market react to it without us really needing to invest and building an office within that particular region?
Okay. Yeah. So,
because typically without it, you would typically have to go open a local office, start building everything from scratch locally.
So you're saying that you're hiring a local marketing agency in that local market, though?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the only thing that you're doing as far as an outside cost. Is that correct?
I'm not sure I understand.
So you mentioned that you don't have to start a new office and start a whole new branch in that market that let's just say that country. Using your example earlier with the video game company that was doing well in Indonesia but not in Norway. In this particular scenario, the advice that you're having is to say most of what you do is internal to your own company, but if you want to break into a new country or a new market, then really your only cost that's going to be outside of your internal structure would be to hire a marketing company in that local market.
Yeah.
That's all, right? Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Yes. Okay. So now, and I know you can't mention the name of this company. I'm a gamer, so I'm incredibly curious who this is actually. But did they use this advice? Did they hire the local marketing company, or did they do something wrong? I'm just kind of curious, going along with what you just said here.
No. So they did the right thing, right? They didn't invest in the Indonesian market because there will be no revenue, because the local people either. And typically the challenge with those regions, if you're comparing Norway and Indonesia, it's extreme, but you can't simply sell in those two markets because it's a completely different economy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And people in those regions wouldn't be able to afford it. And that's why you have many companies also implementing pricing per region, per country, maybe not so country, but region, depending on where they're heading towards to. So I think the direction is correct. We need to diversify. That's why localization is important. That's why the market analysis, why you should be looking at where you're heading towards to and build a strategy is important. And we do a lot of those, as I said earlier.
So I'm curious, as we've talked about so many great things. By the way, I've really appreciated your stories. They're all helpful. They were fascinating. I've learned a lot just listening. Now, as we wrap up, though, any actionable steps that you would want us to walk away with? Any advice, tips, that kind of thing?
So for those of you who are on the vendor side, I would say we really need to focus on the customer, right? We need to be hyper customer centric. We need to make sure that we are presenting the latest trends, and that also goes to those of you who are doing the language services internally in corporations, in large organizations. We need to go the extra mile because we are the ones who have the data, who have the connections globally, who will help the organization to expand in towards the right direction. And I'm having so many conversations where the people are feeling frustrated about, I don't have any power. I cannot convince my bosses that it doesn't make sense to translate into French Canadian. Sorry for taking that particular, but because we simply don't have we don't have so much of an opportunity there, or it wouldn't make so much sense. We should rather go to another region. Don't be afraid to step up and speak to your managers. The only thing that you need to change, or that I'm seeing that many people are not realizing, is that you need to speak their language, right? Show them the data, show them the opportunity. Don't speak about the number of languages or the costs that this has associated. Talk to them about the opportunity. Show them the data on potential users. You have that data internally. You can go to your marketing teams or come to us. We're happy to help you with identifying that. But this is where you can step up and be different. And same with the type of internal services. So if I am localization manager internally, do all the departments really come to me? And am I the go-to point person when we're talking about content creation, video creation, anything like that will ever want to become international? If not, I'm sorry, but it's your fault. You need to go and you need to speak, you need to create relationships in all of these departments, whether it's documentation, whether it's marketing again, and you name it, right? Engineering teams and so on, because you need to create the relationship with those people to realize that you're going to be there at the very last moment before the product goes out. Right? So if you have that relationship, if you're having those conversations, it's going to be much easier for them to understand, why do you need extra 2 days, or why do you need to know things in advance, or why do you need them to change things later? Otherwise, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how I would end up.
I love it. I love it. No, thank you, Joseph. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time today. I really appreciate this. And it really was very fascinating. And it's incredible to hear all of the experiences and stories that you've had too. You've learned a lot, you've seen a lot, and we're definitely learning from that as well. So thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you very much, Brian. We covered many topics. We touched up on many things. I feel like we really touched on the surface. I was jumping from one topic to another, but I hope this was beneficial for the audience.
Joseph Kubovsky, CEO of Nimdzi Insights. Joseph, thank you so much. And my name is Brian. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We would love to hear from you. Send us questions and comments over on email, nx@lexigo.com. Have a wonderful day, and remember to always strive for authenticity and embrace the power of Native experiences.